me, the biggest key of being efficient is to be super ultra organized. The only way that I can be efficient at what I do is that I stay 1 to 2 steps ahead of everybody else. So here's an example of how I do that. For example, throughout the year, we have leadership meetings. We have our faculty development meetings, what we call our faculty meetings, 1 time a month. We have PTO meetings. So what I do at the very, very beginning of the year, even in the summer, is I plan every single date that we will have those meetings. And I don't have my calendar to show you, but I have my entire year already planned as of right now. What that does is that helps me to stay on track, and that helps me to know my faculty meeting's coming up. And what I may do is on the first Tuesday of September, when I know that that faculty meeting is coming up, then I'll write a note for myself in the middle of August saying, faculty meeting coming soon, think about this is the focus. So that 2 weeks ahead of time, I'm already prompting myself to be thinking and getting ready. So when that faculty meeting comes, I'm not scrounging around last minute trying to get all of my information together. So I leave lots of notes for myself in my planner that help me to think ahead and to stay on task for the things that are coming up. I also make sure that all the information goes to our teachers at the beginning of the year, so they know every grade group meeting date, they know all of our leadership meeting dates, they know all of our faculty meeting dates. So then therefore there's no, oh, I need to hurry up and tell everybody we have a faculty meeting next week. It's already planned. You already know for the entire year when our dates will be, so therefore everybody can know and they will be expected to be there, and then that way that helps save me extra communication of having to say, remember we have this meeting. They already know, and that helps them to plan accordingly as well. So that gets us all on the same page. Now, my staff and my faculty and the staff attendance record. So what I do is across the top I put several different categories that would describe our meeting. So then therefore all I have to do is check what type of meeting this is. So again, this form can be used a bunch of different ways, which makes it efficient for me. So it could be professional development. So this could apply to in-service or specialty workshops that we're doing as a school. This could be a faculty meeting, which most of my faculty meetings I do try to make sure they are staff development, but sometimes there are just those informational meetings, and if that was the case, then I'm just going to mark that one. Or this could be a leadership meeting. So I can use this form for a variety of different reasons, and I just check off which one that it is. When staff comes in, then they just go ahead and sign in, and of course this gives me their record of attendance. Now, I have just came up with a better, more efficient system that I'm going to use for this next year. One of the things that we've seen when our staff signs in is that really it's very hard for me to see who attended and who didn't attend. With a staff as large as 50 plus people, honestly, if someone didn't sign in, it would be very hard for me to have known that. So I found a way to be more efficient in my record keeping and to make sure that everybody is attending our meetings, which really isn't a concern, but we do need to have this just for future. So what we've done now is all of our staff members are listed. So therefore, when everyone comes in, they sign beside their name. So again, this is just a quick, efficient technique because now I can look through and say, hey, so-and-so and so-and-so didn't sign in. That's okay. I knew they weren't going to be here. And then therefore, this is quick and easy for me to know who attended and who didn't. So what I will do is I will copy this several times, and I'm going to go ahead and put these in our notebook. So then that way, when it's time for our faculty meeting, all I have to do is grab the notebook. We're set. We're ready to go. Now, of course, that's not the only documentation I need. When I start preparing information for a faculty meeting, I keep notes throughout the month. So, for example, if there's something I know that I need to address or an issue that's come up or just something that I wanted to do that's a neat idea, I have a file that says faculty meetings. I have a file for leadership meetings or a file for PTO. So when ideas come or things that come up that I know we need to discuss, what it is I just write myself a note and stick it in the file. So then therefore, when I get that reminder that I need to be thinking about this meeting, I can open up my file and, oh, okay, these are all the things that I need to address. And so I'm not trying to think last minute, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? That way, all the ideas that have accumulated or things that have come up that need to be addressed, I can look through the file and grab them accordingly. And so what I will do is then I create an agenda for the meeting, because it really is important for me that there's a purpose to the meeting and that people understand the purpose of the meeting. So we will have an agenda for the meeting. when everyone signs in, they get an agenda. The agenda also goes into the notebook. So immediately after the meeting, I have who signed in as well as the agenda. Now, what I want to do differently for this next year, I've done this for leadership meetings, but I haven't done it for our faculty meetings, is I have a recorder who sits in on the committee. So, for example, leadership. I have a recorder who sits on the committee, and so she takes notes throughout the entire meeting. When the meeting is over with, she shoots me an email of all of the notes. So I pre-read the notes and may add or take away something just to keep it accurate or to make sure all the information is complete. And then we send it out to all the other grade chairpersons and people who participated in the committee. And then they in turn take that information and they share with others. So that way we all stay up to date and we all have the same information, the same accurate information. So what I do for leadership is then I have their sign-in notes, I have my agenda, and then I print off I have the notes from the actual meeting and I clip it together and then I keep it all throughout the year. So what happens is I have a notebook that is then this thick. So every meeting that we've had throughout the year is right here. So every meeting that we've had, the notes from the meeting, the agenda, all of this is just great documentation so that I can go back and make sure, yes, we did address this, this was discussed, and then that way if I need to look back at this and say, hey, you know, we did this last year, but there were some parts of it that I really want to incorporate into this next year, then it's quick and easy for me to pull that I can incorporate again. So, and plus, again, it's just really good documentation of how we've grown as a staff throughout the year and what the staff has been exposed to as well, because that helps me to know, hey, we talked about this in January, but a new teacher coming in the following year wouldn't have this information. So I need to incorporate this, or I need to put this into, you know, possibly a manual for our new teachers coming in. So at the end of the year, what I do is I have all the documentation from this year. I take out the slipcover and put it on top. And then what I do is bind it all together and it goes in my closet to sit for 1 year. And what that does is that way it is quick and easy for me to pull, and it's all the documentation that I need based on this one school year. And then that way at the end of the year, at the end of this next school year, if I didn't need it, then I can throw it away, and then I keep the next year's. So I always keep 1 year back so that I just have my documentation. And again, it's already labeled because I took out the slipcover. We're good to go. I do have, as I've been speaking about, it's important to have documentation. Documentation helps you to be efficient. You've got to be able to put your hands on things that you need quickly to give people information or to locate information for yourself. So one of the things that I do is I have a phone log. So, and it's dated again by year. And so as soon as I pick up a phone, I just go ahead and start writing date and who it is that I'm talking to and what number it is that they've called me. And so as we're talking throughout the conversation, I take notes. And this is so helpful for me because I need to remember details of our conversations. If I've said that I'm going to do something, then I'll put it here. And that way that holds me accountable that that's what I turn around and do as a result of our conversation. But it's also just helpful for me to know that either these situations have happened or these problems have happened, and then hopefully in the future we can troubleshoot and make sure that some of these problems don't occur. And they're not all problems necessarily, it's just situations. So what I do is I date each one of them and just write down the situation or the person that I've spoken with. So this is my documentation of the people that I have spoken with on the phone. Now I also have people who show up. So I have a visit log. And again, it's dated, so then that way if I speak with someone and we sit down and we have a conversation, then I document it and I stick it in here. You can see that I don't always have my notebook around, so if I use a sheet of paper, I stick it in according to date, and then here I go. So then I know if someone calls and says, yes, I spoke with you at the beginning of the year and this is what we talked about, then I know, all right, so I need to flip towards the beginning of my book, and then I can hopefully find and locate the person and what we've discussed. This has been really, really helpful. In my job, I've been subpoenaed once before, and that's definitely a possibility that can happen. So the more accurate records you keep, the more information you keep, especially on really sticky circumstances, the better off it is for you. So I keep information like that so it can jog my memory, because my memory's not very good. So the more documentation I have, the more it helps me to remember this is what happened and this was a result, or these were the details of the situation and so forth. So these are very important. And I just keep these by my phone, which is right here, or I just keep them right there so that way they're easy for me to pick up and grab.